This is a recording of the September 10th, 2022 Saturday virtual event of the NMRA Coast Division.
So, this is our September 10th event, and we have a couple things to cover. The 25th of September is our event, which is hosted by the gang at the South Bay Railroad Historical Society in Santa Clara. And we will look at some details of what's going on at that event. And then we'll also, of course, have, knock-knock jokes and whatever sort of modeling projects you're currently banging your heads on, and we'll take it from there. All right, let's see if the slideshow will work here.
I didn't see anything.
My goodness, it's actually working. All right, so down there at 9:30 at the station in, let's see, I believe that's Santa Clara. So, and I would get there a little bit early. There's good parking because it's a transit hub.
I'm gonna put it out if you don't pick it up.
Is that Frank I'm hearing there in the background? Yeah, if that's Frank, if you could mute your microphone, sir. Okay, so we start gathering at 9:30. Again, it's a transit hub, and so there'll be good parking around the station. We're running clinics from 10 to 11 in the morning. And Phil talked to the gang down there, and the Mission City Grill, which is on El Camino Real, not too far away from the station, is where, for those that want to have lunch. And then from 1 to 5, we have different layout open houses, which include both some other clubs, South Bay clubs, and private layouts. By the way, just pipe up if you've got comments to add here as I slog my way through the slides here. All right, on the clinics, the mighty Earl Gerbovan is going to do a two-part clinic. He's going to do some new scenery technique work, and he went to the national convention, and he'll sort of do a little presentation on the stuff he saw at the national convention, 2022 convention. So that's what Earl has going. Then for those of you that weren't scared off by my virtual clinic on soldering to the gang here, I'm going to be doing a hands-on clinic on soldering. This is where I'm going to have 4 soldering stations, and I have chunks of track laid out, glued down the cardboard where we can practice, hands-on practice soldering rail joiners, soldering drop wires. Going to have some printed circuit boards so we can practice soldering wires into printed circuit board. And we will also have a review again of the concepts that underlie good quality soldering as part of that clinic. So those are 2 of the clinics, but wait, there's more. Dave Adams will be doing a clinic on scratch building. And then our own Fran Foley will be doing a talk on Tinkercad. And there are, as I understand it, there are a lot of CAD programs out there. Some of them are suitable for building a whole nuclear reactor or a jet airplane, but apparently Tinkercad is a good balance of features compared to what we do, what we would like to build in a model railroad, or to 3D print, I should say, items for use in our model railroads. And so Fran will be talking about that. I think Phil intends that a couple of these clinics will actually be videoed and then will be presented later on via one of our Zoom gatherings and act as, for those that missed them at the event in Santa Clara, they can see it, the video, and then we'll have a quote, and the clinic goes on, where we can have more questions and answers and stuff of those clinic presenters. So those are the 4 clinics. Next is, we'll do lunch after that, and then we've got places to go and people to see and all that good stuff. Ray Turner, the layout in Santa Clara, of course, right there in the depot with us, can be looked at. The California Central Gang and their club layout to the north of Santa Clara on the line there. Bob Brown, Ed Loiseau, Seth, Dave Adams, Dave Lovelace. Now, I don't know, it'll be interesting. It's a bit of a drive to get down to Mr. Lovelace's layout, but he's very kindly opening that one up. So these are the layouts, and there's a flyer. You can see the link down the bottom left corner of the screen here for a flyer on the event. Now, addresses to get to these layouts will be given out at the event. So be there if you want to get that information on where these different things are located. I myself, I think I'm going to go see Seth Newman's layout because of the way he does his dispatching and the software stuff. I'm interested in that, but we'll see how my plans turn out. Any questions or comments? Anybody want to pitch any of these particular layouts that you think people should make an effort to go see?
Seth's is definitely worth seeing.
All right, there's one vote for Newman. Any other votes there? All right.
Any layouts in particular on how to build a layout in a small space?
Now that's a good question. I know I've only seen, out of all of these, I've only seen the layout in Santa Clara in person. I've seen, I think I saw a video with Seth, but that's about it. So I have no idea on that question.
I would recommend Ted Stevens because he has stuff to lay out into a commercial building. So a lot of it is like 2 and 3 feet wide along the walls. So that would be a good place to look for techniques for a small layout. And as far as Seth Newman goes, his layout, he technically doesn't have a dispatcher. He does, but a lot of the functions of the dispatcher are done by a clerk who handles the cards of all the cars. So it's a rather unique system. So if you've never seen it, you may want to check it out. So that's another vote for Seth Newman.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in that. Okay. Now, because of the event on the 25th, we would have had a Zoom gathering, our next Zoom gathering on the 24th, but we're not going to do that. So we will not be doing the Zoom meeting on the 24th. Instead, we'll be meeting in person on the 25th. And our next virtual meeting will be then the 8th of October. So that'll be our next get together here in the virtual world. Any other questions that I probably can't answer? Oh, by the way, could somebody tell me the layout that's way up to the top left of the screen here, whose layout is that? My interface for the Zoom is covering up the...
It's Ted Stevens.
That's Ted Stevens. So then Ted Stevens is way, so you want to get, looks like you'd get on 82 and up 85 and up at 101 to get over to where Ted is. All right, so that's that. All right. So who has some railroad stuff, model railroad stuff they've been banging their head on they'd like to share? I know, is Ken Adams still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yep. Okay. Oh, this silly thing.
Well, I have the received, for those of you who are not Southern Pacific steam era fans, you can tune out on this. But I have received from Leadville Designs my order for a fairly large number of Yeah, we can see if you can get these. These are nickel silver etchings for Southern Pacific caboose ladder sides. And they're a very specific thing that you need if your Walther's caboose ladders disintegrated or broke, or for the Walther's P30-1 and cabooses that were made about the year 2000. And over time, a lot of the ladders crumbled.
Wait a minute, Ken.
Yeah.
The thing is, that was the model in 2000. When were the cabooses in service?
Oh, the cabooses actually start. The drawings for the ladders are 1914. They start with the C30-1, and the drawing was modified. That was used for this was modified up to the C30-3. So these things were made early, but they survived all the way up into the 1970s on SP traffic. They're the classic wood caboose with the 4 windows in the side. The early ones had the cupola slightly slanted on the side, and later SP rebuilt a large number of them into a fully rectangular sided cupola. The cars were almost and they were like hundreds of them, and they were used all the way up until as I say, until the 60s and 70s.
The bay window cabooses replaced them?
Yeah. They went to the bay window. They started with the bay window design in the 40s, experimenting with it, but they didn't really get large numbers until the 1960s. There were also steel versions of the same structure as the wood caboose, the same type of layout with the 4 window sides.
All right. So a little bit of SP caboose history for you there, folks.
Oh, I've got a lot of history on it. In fact, I'm going to be at the Southern Pacific Historical and Technical Society convention starting this Wednesday through Sunday in Modesto. And I'm hoping that most of these will be distributed at that point to true SP fans. I know I've got a captive audience there. Trouble is that most of them are not modelers anymore.
Ken, now tell us, can you share with the group information about how to learn about that gathering if they're interested in attending?
Well, if you haven't, if you're not a member of the society, it's not an open gathering. It's a meeting of the society. So you would have received a ton of bombarded with emails and mailed brochures on the how to get register.
Okay, so they're working to keep the scum and the riffraff out, in other words.
They don't want those Santa Fe or Western Pacific modeler people to show up.
Yeah, I suspected as much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Especially close the door for Union Pacific.
Ooh. Ken, by the way, I feel I'm still on the hook to come over to your place and work on getting a jig figured out to assemble those things.
Actually, I have
got it already done.
I've actually got one made.
Good.
Now, okay, here we go. I did it in soldering silicone pad. And interesting enough, these are held on, but the race pieces are held by canopy glue, which works.
There you go. All right.
So
good. By the way, Lisa, good to see you here, and Don. No, Ken, I was just acknowledging because I see Lisa and Don showed up here in our little
Yeah.
little group.
Anyway, the other part is I'm still writing the instructions, and I hope to put those on my Blogspot site as a place where people can refer to them.
Right.
A gentleman by the name of Bill Lugg, who's a UP modeler, started this by making a version of these ladders for the UP. I went and he enabled me to get one, and so I was able to put one on one of my SP cabooses just to test it out. And however, from his experience where he had his etched in brass to mine, we worked with Bill Meredith, who's master etcher. He lives in Canada, unfortunately, which creates its problems with these days with postal shipments between Canada and the U.S. But anyway, he did the final etched drawing and shipped it to his supplier in the UK, who were very familiar with working with nickel silver. And so I bought these off of him, my supply off of him for well, let's just say I bought it in 300 thick nickel silver, very strong, so that when you build these ladders, you won't have a lot of warping of the ladder.
And butterfingers are less likely to break them. By the way, Ken also noted that he's feeling that once you put on such beautiful ladders onto the car, you also have to replace all the end railings and handbars
Actually, I'm
because they're too
modifying
thick.
that.
Oh, you are?
That. Yeah.
Okay.
Bill was able to show me a method, has a method documented that I'd forgotten about for replacing the ladders, the existing ladders. And actually on this model, which is, if I can get it to right there, can't see it easily. I used an existing ladder on this end. The other end is where I'm working on the replacement of the full thing with the replacement of the handrails. Now, I have for the drawings for the handrails from the CSRM SP collection, and they're quite a simple handrail to make, but soldering the ladders to the handrail, it gets to be a real fun thing because your problem is that once you solder one side, you've got to very closely solder the other parts on the other side, and the way I finally wound up attaching this to the plastic handrail was, interesting enough, good old canopy glue.
I think canopy glue is your go-to solution, Ken.
It's becoming that, believe me.
Oh.
Tony Thompson started that with canopy glue, and I've the more I've used it, it looks like Elmer's white glue, but it has holding power that white glue never did.
He gets a commission, by the way, from the company that makes canopy glue, so take that into
Formula
account.
560 canopy glue, by the way.
Joyce.
Anyway, I am selling the ladders at my cost, which is approximately $5 for an etching, which is enough for one car.
All
Asking
right.
for a contribution, not selling.
Yeah. Thank you, Ken. Joyce, I have a question for you.
Okay.
How did your track take the hot weather?
You know, it wasn't that hot here. It was like 85 maybe, because there was a nice breeze. Maybe it was 90, but I don't think my track is stainless steel. So I feel like it's probably, I haven't even looked.
You're better off than Bart.
No, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear it. Well, you'll find out when you get a locomotive going down it whether or not you've got kinks in the rail from the heat.
Actually, we ran it on Sunday. No, Monday.
Ah,
We ran it on Monday, and it ran fine.
all right.
Bill's putting together a bunch of computer stuff so that he can make it run all the way without having to run 220 feet from one end to the other. So that's our project right now.
Oh, this is like throwing turnouts and stuff.
Yeah. And
Right.
we are going to be open for baggers for Bay Area Garden Railway Society in a few weeks. So we're gearing up for that.
All right.
Yeah.
Good
We
news.
bought some new houses at the National Garden Railway Convention in Colorado. That was fun. We had a wonderful time.
Tell us about the Colorado trip.
Oh, we went all over. I've just been working on it. We went to the Grand Canyon Railway. Did people know there's a wonderful train you can take? And from where you start in Williams, you can eat at the Fred Harvey restaurant. And they have the waitresses all dressed up in the Fred Harvey girls' uniforms, and it's just really cool. And then you ride the train, and you could stay in the Grand Canyon Railway Hotel, which is what we did. And they have all kinds of train stuff there. And then we rode right to the Grand Canyon, just a few feet. You get out, and you're right at the Grand Canyon. We stayed in El Tovar Hotel. And we had a view of the Grand Canyon from our room. So it was just fantastic. And what else did we do? We rode a whole bunch of trains. We rode Cumbres and Toltec. We rode Silverton and Durango. We got plates from them and a bunch of souvenir kind of stuff. It was a great trip. We went to Four Corners and stood on the place with the Four Corners, which is part of the Navajo Nation. And so they've got all these big flags. I've got pictures of all this if anybody wants to see them at some point.
Okay, well, Joyce, the next time we're going to do this, let us know so we can come with you, okay?
That would have been fun. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
a
except
great trip.
I don't know. The police probably would have been concerned if they'd sought us all together. So,
And the
I don't know if that's a good
Tehachapi
idea.
Pass. They've got a new viewing site for the Tehachapi Pass. And so we went there. We stayed about half an hour because we were tired. We wanted to get home. And we decided that there wasn't going to be a train. We hadn't planned it. And so we were just about to get in the car. And Bill hears a train whistle. And we stayed 7 locomotives on this train. And it took like half an hour for the train to go by us in front of us. And then it the Tehachapi Pass, and it crosses over itself. It was super cool.
Was the viewing location at the loop?
No, it's above, it's on that hill beside the loop.
Yeah, it's on the west. It's on the west side of the loop.
Huh?
It's on the west side of the loop, so you're facing east.
Yeah, you're facing the Tehachapi loop, but
Nice.
you're on a different hill or mountain, I don't know. And
Yeah, I understand you see the whole loop from up there.
Yeah. Well, it's not quite as high as I wanted to be. I wanted to be even higher, but evidently that was the only safe place that they could make it. And there's a viewing platform, and you could probably fit about 20 people on the platform. We were the only ones there, and nobody was even driving up that mountain that we were on. And Cesar Chavez's home is on your way up there, so you can stop there and see that if you're interested in that. But the train, it went on forever, and you just see it loop on top of itself. In person, it's breathtaking.
Does everybody know about the Tehachapi live train cams?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can see the entire loop up there. And in fact, it's the only cam I know where you can actually probably see an entire train from the front to the back if they zoom back far enough.
About
Yeah,
5 years ago, I saw a video. Somebody had done one of these drone flights where he was like about 100 feet above a train going through a whole loop,
Hmm.
and that was a fascinating. And also, as far as the Durango and Silverton, I was lucky, and I have pictures for this, and I should show them to. October 1st, 2013, on 2013, I was in Durang. I managed to get the reservation in the observation car on the train for one person, and took the whole ride up to Silverton and back with the leaves turning. With from green to gold and reds and everything like that along an endless river, and I have about 100 pictures from that. So I stood on the end platform half the time taking pictures of.
I just posted in chat the YouTube link, which is to the Loop cam. They have a cam up. They have 4 cams that they run. The one at the Loop, the one at Cable, for the sighting at Cable, the one up in the bustling, mighty community of Tehachapi itself at the top of the grade, and then down at the bottom of the grade on the way to Bakersfield at Edison. They have another cam. So that gives you a chance to catch trains at various points through that line. But some of the cams are fixed and some are pan tilt zoom, and so sometimes an operator is present, virtually present, and moving the camera around to follow whatever's going on. But yeah, that's a great way to railfan that without having to drive for 6 hours to get to the loop. Joyce, thank you very much for sharing your trip report. We're all jealous, of course.
But you guys know the video camera is nothing like being there when it's 110, you know?
Oh.
Yeah, and to hear the whistle, it's just, if you want, sometime I could do a little 10-minute picture show of a lot of the things we saw.
You're up. Please. I'm putting you on the schedule, Joyce. I think we have a clinic on 8 October, perhaps on the next one.
Okay.
Okay, that would be. Let's see. Oh, that would be the 22nd October, Joyce.
Okay, 22nd of October.
Okay, I'll communicate this to Phil. But so we'll see if we can get you to do a little talk about we'll call it a railfan trip.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, last time we were down there, John Sutkus and I were headed down to LA. Then we stopped up by, I guess, Tunnel 3. And I'm a school teacher, so I picked these strange detail things out. And here was the school kids' dreams, the 100-pack of Crayola crayons sitting there on the side of the road. Yeah, or sitting in, by where we were parked, and they were all melted, That tells you how hot it gets down there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But this is sharing time. I guess I've been laying track like crazy. Thank you for those people that stopped by. Sorry for my senior moment, Ken. We're sitting there talking, and I stick my hand out and I go, I don't think we've met. He looks at me and goes, you know me. The minute he started talking, he was like, okay, I got you. But I actually ran an engine down from my upper staging to my to a lower level. I mean, you can't see it. I tried to pull pictures up, but I can't do that. So I'm getting close. I think within 2 weeks, I'll be going from top to bottom. You talk about the heat. Joyce, you said it may have been only 85 at your house. I'm not too far from Joyce. In my garage at 2 o'clock, I couldn't stay out there anymore because it was like a sauna. Yes, I did find a lot of heat kinks in the one that are up near the ceiling. So I'll have to go out there and work on that a little bit. So, but that part of the railroad's been together for about 20 years, so I figure it'll come back in. So,
You'll hear at night when it cools off, you'll hear these little boing noises.
yeah, I'll have to go out there and make some more glue. I don't use that canopy glue, but I'm thinking about buying a couple gallons. So
Okay. Yeah, you're going to need it. Lisa, just we'll look forward to hearing your trip report. As you can see in chat, folks, she's going up to the East Coast on Amtrak and then checking out some tourist railroads up in Maine. So maybe we'll get to see some scenes from there if we can talk her into it. Anybody else stuff to share? Knock knock jokes? What you got? It's quiet, Sheriff. Too quiet.
Yeah.
Frank, you there? It was on earlier. All right, I think it's.
Oh, I did have one other thing I was going to add is I'm not expecting to distribute all of the ladders at the SP convention. And I'll bring the remainder with me to the September 25th meeting in case anybody wants one who's not an SP historical person.
I have a question in regards to that SP historical, Ken. I am planning on having a model of Southern Pacific in the late 1980s. And when we had the convention up in Rohnert Park, some of the presenters talked about a document that sort of listed the cars that were on the railroad or being used by the railroad during a certain period of time. And I'm trying to remember the name of that information source. And I was wondering if anybody remembers that.
Not really. I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of our stuff that we're talking about this week has been the corporate shenanigans of SP when they, particularly in the 80s and 90s, until they were finally had to be bought out by UP.
Well, the attempt to have SPSF
Shouldn't
painting
the
locomotives.
aborted merger.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
shouldn't paint so fast. SPS.
Well, once again, it seemed to be a defeat engineered by bean counters. But yeah, it's just a shame to see a great railroad like that just sort of piecemeal taken apart and run into the ground. But anyway,
a question
that started about 1970.
Yeah,
the bean counters took over.
Yep.
Of course, I was an accountant, so what do I? At PFE.
At PFE. Somebody had a question?
Yeah, I did. It's easy. Phil's at this ON30 extravaganza, he said. Where was it advertised? Because I know nothing about it. I don't even know where it is or who's running it or anything.
Didn't he say he was on when we started this? He said he was in Palo Alto. Does anybody remember? As far as promoting it, anybody?
I think didn't he just say he was setting up with his modular group at this thing?
Yeah.
That was his only part in it, that it was just setting up the modules for his ON30 group or ON3 group.
Yeah.
Oh, so it was just a local train show.
I didn't get that impression from what he said.
It didn't look that way from the background picture.
Well, he was in, well, the way he was holding his phone, we only saw the ceiling above his head.
No. At the very, very end, he showed this expansive room, and there were a lot of, it seemed like multiple layouts being set up.
Well, what I would do is I would give him a call and find out what's going on, and if it's close, something you can get over to. But
Okay.
yeah.
I just thought that maybe there was an information source that I wasn't aware of, or another email tree I'm not on.
Well,
I think
okay.
he might have said something more about it on the announcement for this meeting. He said where he was going to be.
Let's see if I
should
can
look.
pull. Let me see
I'll
if
go
I can
back
pull
and
that
look
up.
at that.
On the email announcement that I got.
Let's see. How did he?
He said it's the CCC ON30 modular setup at the Los Altos Museum for a 10 a.m. opening. They'll be there all day today.
Well, thanks, Joyce.
It's 10 to 4.
Okay. Oh, I have something. I've started communicating with Dave Tataosian of the club in Crockett. This is the big HO group. And he knows about our visit to the Golden Gate Model Railroad Museum. And he'd be glad to have us come and visit them. The Crockett Toy Train Operating Museum is upstairs in their building. And the Bay Area N-Track Club is in the Crockett Station and might be interested in participating. This is from Mr. Tataosian. And in February, which is what we're thinking about, they have a work day on February 4th, an operating session on February 18th, and an open house on February 25, 26. And let's see, so we have the 4th, the 18th, 25, 26. And what I'd like to see here is, this is just a quick off-the-cuff survey. Some of you, how many, let's see, I can't ask people to raise hands here. Put something in chat, if you please, or actually let's use reactions.
Yeah, you can use reactions.
Use reactions. Please use your reactions and give me a thumbs up if you're interested in the 4th of February going to 4 February. Okay, I see 1, 2 folks for the 4th. How many people would be interested in the 18th? They're operating, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so now, take your thumbs down and put your thumb back up if you're interested in the 18th. I count 3. And then they have, okay, then take the hands back down. And then lastly, people would be interested in the 25th, 26th. Okay, 3 there. Okay, it's sort of, it seems as though we have a mix of responses. There isn't a big, heavy favorite there. I will be talking to Mr. Tataosian and say which, he threw all 3 of those out. And I'll say, well, we have various folks that are interested in any of the 3 days, and which would they like the most? Which would he like the most? And we'll run with that. Now, of course, the open house on the 25th, 26th is an open house. but so anybody could go to that. But I will just be communicating with him. Obviously, this is out in February because of various other events and stuff that are happening, trying to stay out of the holiday shuffle in addition. But that's the next event I'll be working on for a little field trip for us. So I'm looking very much forward to seeing that layout. I was there quite a few years ago when a lot of the layout was still Plywood Pacific, and a lot of work has gone on since then. I'm eager to see it, along with what must be the biggest helixes I've ever known of from a model railroad. They're just immense structures. It's amazing. So that's thank you for giving me an idea of some interest in that. And Phil will be doing another survey of layouts that could be visited in addition, like we've done with our other field trips here, of visiting the main host club in this case again, and then seeing what layouts folks might visit. And I believe Phil spoke the idea of most of us are coming from south of Crockett, and so there'd be some layouts on the way down back home from Crockett, which is sort of on the border with the Redwood Division folks. So that's another thing that we're trying to get laid out in front of us to do. All right. Anybody else have a share, a story, a question? By the way, Mr. Radke, you look very distinguished with your haircut.
Yes.
It was get up, slick your hair back.
Okay.
You guys can't smell me, you know.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. I thought, well, maybe you've got a ducktail and we just can't see it.
Yeah, well, you know, I try to look prestigious once in a while when the mosquitoes and the flies are out there in the layout room with me. So
yes. I hope to get back to working on my layout. This heat, rather, and some other projects here around the house have kept me away from the railroad for way too long. But I hope to get my gear back in ass, or I mean my ass back in gear, and get back to model railroading some more.
yeah, well, you know that I just love all these things, and you know, I'm using slide switches. So I sat in here, must have been for about 8 hours watching a Cubs game and something else, making like 40 of these things. Thinking, oh, isn't model railroading fun? So
it's a many-faceted hobby. You can curse at a lot of different things.
Yeah. One of my daughter's friends stopped by, and she is a biologist. So she's out counting plants in the woods where the things have burned. And I tried to convince her that soldering wires to switches was just about as exciting and she might like it, but she wouldn't take me up on it. So I tried, you know, I really, really tried.
I'm trying to do, so I'm sorry, Jim. I didn't mean to stop you.
No, I'm good.
I'm just trying to do a little soldering today. It's finally cooled off enough over here in Walnut Creek that I don't, I just wasn't able to do it at all this past week. And
well, the solder wouldn't solidify after you put it on the wires.
I've actually had to run the air conditioning from between 4 and 9 because otherwise it was unlivable. I did, put it up to 85, but still it was pretty bad inside. When it's 113 outside, it just gets you.
Yeah, that's brutal.
And that's just Walnut Creek. Larry, where you live, I don't know.
Yeah, the air conditioning, for some reason, set itself up to 85, and within about 2 minutes, you could tell the house it had gone off because boy, it just didn't take long to heat up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I went out there, and part of building this railroad, this is 20 what, 24 years ago I started this. I had to rebuild my garage, and the wife put some boundaries on it. She said that, well, you can have the garage, but you have to build me a wine cooler. And that threw all the dimensions of the aisle and everything else off. And I built her this wine cooler, and we've become prestigious and bought a new wine cooler now, and she's not using it anymore. So we had an air conditioner hooked up to it just to keep it cool, and I could turn that on and cool the railroad room. And I thought, well, it's time to turn the air conditioner on, even though Eb Mudd's giving you all these alerts, shut everything off. And the poor thing is like 22, 23 years old. And it said, well, it's 85 in the room. I can make it 84. And I said, uh-oh, well, I guess it's time to get a new air conditioner. But, it's like some things just don't last like they used to, So
I was lucky to have it at 85 and be able to maintain that.
Well, I was sitting out there, and Carl Mayer came over to work one day, and this is before the heat wave, but he is sitting there and he's just got sweat dripping down his face, and I'm like, I have a feeling this is a good time to go to lunch, No longer is it okay to work out here. They'll find me out there, in the middle of the night, heat stroke. Yeah.
We're not
Okay.
rich for that, like people in Arizona or stuff where they get serious about their air conditioning. Ken? Nope.
Arizona is I can't imagine how people live there. It's like living in Death Valley.
Oh, it's a dry heat.
Whimper.
You don't go outside too often. You find shade.
Mm-hmm.
I found my second family when I recently, last year, I discovered who my birth mother was. And I have a cousin down that lives near Calexico. And I was joking with him about, how do you guys get through the weather down there? He says, yeah, we just have the air conditioning blasting full all the time.
Not this week. They have to learn how to swim down there this week with that tropical storm dumping rain on them.
Yeah.
I
think the tropical storm fell apart a lot. I don't think it got much moisture into California.
No. Ran out of gas, so to speak.
I do have a question for the people here. I was helping out. Well, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I came into the being of a 4x8 sheet of Homosote. It's not in very good shape. I basically took it because the person wanted it gone. Can anybody come up with uses of Homosote other than sub roadbed?
I think it is actually an insulating material. Before we used foam, fiberglass insulation, I vaguely remember it being used as very heavy insulation, because it's a compressed paper type of thing.
Yeah.
The transmission of heat through it or cold or whatever should be very low, but I'm pushing the limits of my engineering ability here.
Yeah, you're doing better than Tony Thompson did. He was speechless. I was like, come on, Tony, you're not making me feel good. Because cutting it up and sticking it in the trash can is kind of messy. So,
yeah, I remember using it for insulation, or finding it used for insulation in an old house I had in San Francisco.
Somehow I think it got displaced by the fiberglass based products. And so
well, I'm kind of wondering if I can score it and use it for, the back ribbing of mountains or something, but I have a feeling that's going to be too hard to make it worth the while.
I remember somebody used it for, would break it up and then make it layers like the geological mountain for scenery.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
I
was one
remember that. The
Yeah,
stratified rock, whatever it's called.
yeah.
And you basically had the raw edge sticking out, and you plastered it over something like that.
Yeah,
And you ended up
wire brushed it to get that
wire
nice
brush or
rough
something.
look.
Yeah.
It made fantastic imitation shale.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
if you painted it, it would hold its, it wouldn't stop flaking apart.
Yeah.
Latex
And
paint.
of course, that also opens up. Does anybody else need some homicide? I will deliver. I just thought I'd ask. You never know.
Who else is laying track right now?
Yeah, well, I came home with a few other items, some MDF, baseboards, a pallet, a couple of roof vents. And I said, well, I'll just stick them out in front of the house here and somebody will grab them. And I watched this guy come up with one of those little carts that you use to put your bag on at the grocery, or you put a suitcase on it. You know what I'm talking about? It folds up. And he comes up with that thing and unfolds it, sticks the pallet on it, and bungees it to the cart and walks away with it.
I would have thought he came up with the cart, unfolded it, put it in your pile, and walked away.
And so far nobody has added anything yet, but we figure that's going to happen. So, but the pallet is gone. Just one piece of MDF left. Not bad for a 24-hour turnaround.
I'm starting to plan my promontory party for next year. So try not to be away around the May 10th of next year, because we're going to do a great big promontory party, and we'll have a prize for best costume and prizes for other stuff. And we've got the locomotives, both the locomotive replicas, and we have now the official from the promontory monument place. We have the official script, and I have about 30 of the official scripts, and it's hilarious. It's really funny things happened at promontory. So try not to be out of town that week.
Was that 25? Was that 25 May 2023?
May 10?
It's May 10th,
May 10th.
1969. But May 10th of next year comes in the middle of the week. So I haven't decided for sure which weekend I'll do it.
Okay, hey, Joyce, do you remember those photos I gave you, the original and the one with yes. Denver? Yeah. Do you want some more copies of that, or
yes,
another copy, and you can make that?
I can use stuff for prizes. I have little prizes.
Yeah, I've only got the two originals, but I can make copies of it.
Okay.
Try, and then you can figure out how to turn it into something nice.
Yeah.
I'll send them to you.
Okay, thank you.
Is period clothing encouraged?
Definitely.
All right.
The people who wear costumes get to be in the script.
Uh-oh. No good deed goes unpunished.
No, it's a lot of fun. Everybody comes. It's quite popular. I've given it for several years.
All right. That sounds, I'll tell Phil so he can put it in on a calendar. I have some question, a feasibility question for you folks. What I'm on my layout, I've wanted to power route the frogs, and I tried the Caboose Industries ground throws that supposedly have a little switch built in, electrical switch built in as part of them, and I found them to be unsatisfactory from my perspective in terms of reliability. So I did
things that never should have been made, right?
Well, anyway, for me, they don't I wasn't satisfied with them. I did a workaround where I actually have, I would say, well, the signaling department put a box next to each machine, and what I did is I built a little styrene box, hid a micro switch inside it, and put it up where the back part of the ground throw pushes out as you throw the turnout, and have it activate the micro switch, which then routes power to the frog. But that I did it, but it's like, But what I wonder about is is this readable or is it mirror image to you guys?
That's good.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering about is, here's the ground throw, and then it throws the throw bar on the turnout, but cut a slot in the sub-road bed, just like you would if you had a switch machine down here. But instead of having a switch machine, put a micro switch on a bracket, maybe like have a 3D printed bracket with has some adjustment on it, so you can have the arm or solder a wire onto the arm of the micro switch going up through the hole in the throw bar, and have the movement of the throw bar operate the micro switch, which then routes power to the frog. And can somebody poke holes in this idea? Does that seem like it might be?
It seems like you're reinventing a tortoise switch machine.
Yeah, except the tortoise switch machine costs an arm and a leg. And I like the ground throws, because on the prototype, a lot of turnouts are thrown by hand by the operators. And so I want to keep the Caboose Industry ground throws and just have the power routing for the frog done by this micro switch underneath. I do and will actually on my current layout, I have some tortoise switch machines for throwing the mainline crossovers. So they're doing their job there. But this is for switches that are manually operated by the crews. And I was just wondering about. Larry, take care, and we'll look forward to seeing you at our next gathering. Anyway, so any other thoughts on this idea other than it seems like a lot of work?
David, I did a couple of those when difficult spots because I didn't have tortoises on them.
Right.
Instead of putting the switch underneath the turnout,
right,
put it on the side of the ground throw.
That's
when
exactly
you throw
what
those
I did.
Ground throws, that little piece of plastic moves
Yep.
Horizontal.
Yep.
And it's much easier to adjust the throw of whatever is happening with the micro switch off to the side than it would be underneath the switch.
Agreed. And that's exactly what I have on my current layout. Is I have off this end of the backside of the Caboose Industries ground throw is I have made a little pretend cardboard concrete box. Hidden inside of that is the micro switch, and they work, but that takes up room, which sometimes you run out of room to put it in there, and it just doesn't quite, to me, it doesn't look right. Hiding it under here, it's out of sight, and so that's what
I'm not saying put it on top. I'm saying just move it according to your picture. Move it like 4 inches underneath the ground throw, so you keep it underneath the bench work, but don't put it underneath the track. Because if you need to adjust it, now you're messing with the track. So does that make sense?
You're talking about adjusting the micro switch?
Right.
The
move the micro
location.
switch like 3 inches to the, I think it's your left.
Oh, and have it interact with, have the wire, the actuator wire interact over here with the
Correct. Yeah,
with
because
the
that way
switch
if
machine.
you need to make adjustments, you're not messing with your track. So
Okay. All right, thank you. Noted.
It's a good one.
Scribble.
And you have all the switches and
you also have the advantage you don't have to relay the track to drill the slot.
Right. Well, it would be for new construction. If you've got it existing, I guess you can pop up the Caboose Industry ground throw and have that wire, the actuator wire for the micro switch interacting with it, or anyway, okay, there, thank you. That's what I needed, was somebody looking over my shoulder and going, gee, you know, it'd be easier to do X.
In our ON30 world, quite a lot of the fellows use a double throw switch as the operator, drilling a little hole through the toggle to operate the switch. It's the turnout, but the contacts power the frog.
Yes. On modular layouts in years past, we used toggle switches, had a little aluminum mounting plate, sunk it down into the sub road bed or the road bed next to the turnout, and put a.
Yep. Sounds like you've done it.
Yeah, and that works too. The caboose industry ground throws are, I don't know, I kind of like the fact that they sort of kind of ape the action of, you know, a prototype ground throw. You have to throw a little lever over. But the toggle switch one does work. As I remember, it was fussy to fabricate the little mounting plates to mount we were using a toggle switch rather than a slide switch. But
the slide switch works really good.
Does it? Okay, more.
Our guys use the slide switch.
Right.
But I've used the ground throws. I mean the caboose industry ground throw on my modular for 12 years now, and they've been very satisfactory to me, except the little teeny itty bitty switch body gets continually popped out when I move the module.
Yes, that's part of what I ran into.
That's part of what you're unhappy with.
Yeah. And a good quality slide switch or toggle switch is, you know, they're just made to be much more reliable as switches. Yeah. But I think this is one of those, there's a lot of different ways to skin the cat, and it's just figuring out which one I'm most comfortable with.
Well, the thing I would ask is, do you have all these switches?
I have a fair stock.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, because you talk about the cost, but if you don't have them, then by the time you buy all the parts, you're up there.
Yeah. But I still like the ground throw thing, because rather than you have to have on the side of the layout and the side of the bench work, you have to have a diagram showing, okay, throw this toggle or pull that knob to throw this turnout. When your control for a particular turnout, you reach out and throw it. This is obviously when you build a layout where your track work and stuff is within comfortable arm's reach, right?
Rule number one, you know, if that's what you're willing to do and you can make it work and you're happy with it, and no other problems, you know.
Right. Okay. Thank you for those thoughts. I'm making some notes here for myself. I'm actually rebuild some of these the controls that I have on my layout to test out some of these ideas, because my current layout is a try stuff out here. Someday when we no longer have to take care of Susie's dad and I'm not and I get to build a new layout, I'm trying out ideas on this layout that I can then use in the future. But it looks like folks are starting to head for the hills here. Anybody else have some other stuff they want to mention or discuss before we fade out into the sunset?
I'm using this time to go through Google Photos to free up some space so I can actually put the photos I want up there.
House cleaning.
Yeah, but I did come up upon a pretty interesting flat car load if anybody wants to see it.
Sure. What you got?
Yeah.
Let's see, share screen. You have to give me the okay.
All right, let's see. Hang on.
To give you the background, we were up in Seattle and we're just poking around and we're right by the yard. let me know when it,
Hold on, I'm trying to.
yeah.
Phil does
And
this automatically. I'm trying to figure out how to. What?
There we go.
Has he got it?
I
No.
don't know. We'll see.
Hang. I'm.
Nope, says disabled. Okay,
Yeah.
who's the guru that knows how to make this happen?
I'm the host. Let's see. New share. No. Okay.
Try again.
One participant can share at a time. Okay. Multiple participants. Advanced sharing options. Who can share? All participants. Okay. Try it now.
Try it now.
See if you can share. Oh, wait. Let me stop my share. There.
Okay, it's
try
telling
it.
me
You
I
should
can't do that. Let's try again.
try again.
Okay, there we go.
Good.
I'll click share. Okay.
Ah, there it is.
All right, so I can't see you guys anymore. But anyway, so to set this up, you see there's a track between this flat car and us and this
Yep.
little walkway. Well, the BNSF yard office is right behind us. So you in the lower right-hand corner, you can see another track. To the right of that track, that's the asphalt where people are riding by on their bikes. And we're sitting here looking at this thing going, you know, that's really kind of a strange looking little thing. We don't know what it is. And you can see the guy over here, this used to be a hump yard in the right-hand frame with a vest on. They're switching things over the hump yard and they get done and they walk over and we start talking about this thing. He goes, yeah, we get one of these every once in a while. It has something to do with a hydro generating plant, like a dam. And he goes, it's been sitting here for a couple of weeks. You know, they come in, they sit for a couple of weeks, and they leave. So, you know, it looks almost like a mini sub, you know, but it is some kind of a turbine. So I don't know. I was just looking through these things. I thought, you know, hey, somebody might want to see this thing. You're looking for a good load for a heavy duty flat car. So
That's a heavy duty flat car.
yeah. That'd be a good little modeling enterprise is the scratch building the frame and stuff. So
you
that's
mentioned
3D printer.
You mentioned the heavy duty flat car, Jim. This was a Athearn 40-foot, which I've cut and stretched. But here you can see the bogies.
Yeah.
Right. So this car was actually built to support this.
I'm going to stop sharing. So.
Yeah. My car was. I got a
You
hold
got the
of
engine
some
on it. Yeah.
Athearn
It's
to have
fading in and
erect.
out. So your backdrop.
Oh yeah.
So you have to kind of hold it closer to your chest.
There we go. It's a wrecked Amtrak engine, and I'm going to get it on this car as a load. But that load looks much nicer than this one. Anyway, that is indeed a mysterious piece of equipment, and it must weigh a lot considering the frame they have to hold it.
Yeah, but we were just sitting there, and it's like we were amazed at how close we could actually get. And nobody cared. You know, people are riding bicycles by here. This is apparently a bike path. So
no fence or anything either. You look like you were just could have walked over and touched it.
Well, here, I've got some other pictures, give you a better idea. All right, let's see. Share. Okay, I can see you guys. I can't see my screen, but this is the office behind this, Balmer Yard.
Yep.
And let's see if I can get it to go to the next one. Oh, come on. It's not going to do that, is it?
Of course it is.
And then here's the picture of the yard. And, you know, where we were standing is we were further down by these tanks. I don't know if you can see my finger.
Yep.
You know, we walked down here, and this is where you can see the flat car out there. And, you know, these engines would come in every once in a while, move up, and we're literally standing right here on the crosswalk. And these things are going by 2 feet away from us. and nobody cared. You know, it was like, it was great. So,
What part of the country is this?
this is up in Seattle. This is Balmer Yard in Seattle.
All right.
North BNSF. You know, and this is like the lead into it. Sorry, the pictures appear to be kind of grainy. This guy's switching. He's flat switching, and there's a big engine facility there, and the yard is back here. This is a car shop, and then the yard is back here. And, you know, it's just a fun place to be sitting around looking. They got the fuel tanks over here. And, you know, you're on an overpass and nobody cares. You know, people are walking by. This is their neighborhood.
That's a nice rail fan spot.
It was, yeah. We were poking around up there, and, you know, there was places that you could find things. On the map, it showed there was a great big roundhouse. And it turns out, talking to some guys, if anybody has ever met Burr Stewart, he was talking to us about it. This is the old roundhouse back here, but you can't see it from anywhere because it's all blocked by these other buildings. So, you know, talking to him, he's like, oh yeah, you know.
But the roundhouse is it in use, or is it just sitting idle?
You know, I don't think it's being used that way anymore. I think they probably use it for storage and stuff. He said parts of it are still there, but you can see it's not brick or anything like that. So,
right.
And because we were talking about it, he showed us a map, and he's like, yeah, you can't really get in there and see it. But I thought it was kind of cool looking at some of the scenes of, you see the ties in between the rail here at the unloading facility and the track geometry. You know, when you're laying track and you're like, oh crap, it's not perfectly straight or perfectly curved. You know, doesn't always have to be.
Jim, where in Seattle is this? Because I'm trying to. Is it south of the city or north of
I believe
the city?
it's north.
Okay, but would this be Queen Anne and the hill in the background then?
Could be. I'm not that familiar with it.
Okay.
I know if you
I'm just trying to place it.
Balmer Yard BNSF, you'll find it. I think we were on our way up north by the Bastille Bridge.
Yeah.
So, which is not too far from here.
I went to UW in the 1960s, so I'm fairly familiar with an old Seattle.
And we found this other place where they had these reefer cars, and they're cross docking them, you know. And once again, we're just walking through these things, and nobody cares.
Yeah. What year
trucks
was
are
this?
Pulling in, and you know.
What year was this? Were these pictures taken?
This was what, not too long ago, like 10 months ago, year ago, whenever they had Sound Rail up there. We found this little cute thing sitting outside, and it's actually plugged in.
It's a real critter. Look at that dome.
There's an extension cord running up in here into this thing. So
the Athearn Hustler does have a prototype.
Yeah.
And electric as well.
And we were sitting here looking at this, and this is actually like a little siding. And we're thinking, wow, look, you know, they've got all this material here, all the tie plates here in the corner. There's a switch ground throw. They've laid this new track. They haven't ballasted it yet. And it basically goes to nowhere. It just goes down there and ends. You know, it goes down there and it stops, you know. Somebody had practice. An idea and it didn't work, you know.
They were just practicing, that's all.
Yeah, it was like a little connection in there or something, but I guess they couldn't get it to go all the way through. And you know, it was kind of hilarious. We're just out there like, okay, take some pictures. You know? And here's this is the Bastille Bridge, I think is what they're called, that we were out there checking out. And I haven't looked at these in a while, but some of them came up pretty good. There's an old right-of-way that walks along there that I guess still has trackage on it. And so there's a trail that we're walking on. And there's a viewing platform for this bridge. But the fun part is that the viewing platform is there, and you're standing on the viewing platform and you look to the right, and there's a homeless encampment. And it's a very nice homeless encampment. Just taking some pictures. We actually got a train on it. Yeah.
It goes over the locks that connect Lake Washington to Puget Sound.
Could be. There is a model railroader. If anybody's ever met Bill Sorensen, he lives over this way on the other side. So when you go out to look at the Bascule Bridge, you know, he's out there. If you ever get up there and you get a chance to contact him, beautiful railroad, beautiful Great Northern Railroad.
Yeah, that's the Interbay Roundhouse, by the way. I found it on Google Maps.
There's a guy up here in the tower, okay? And let's see, these are just anecdotal stories here. I'm trying to find one that has a better picture. Apparently the bathroom is down the stairs and over here because he keeps coming out and going to this area over here and doing something. We're trying to get his attention. This is before the train came. You know, we want to know, is a train coming? And the guy won't even look at us. You know, it's like we're waving at him, screaming at him. You know, he knows we're there. He can care less, you know.
I don't talk to foamers.
Yeah. I mean, it was a fun day. We're just kind of sitting there, and like I said, we're on an observation platform, I think, which is right here, and then right on the other side of these trees is this homeless encampment that had chain link fences and tent platforms, and you know, right out of the picture over here are these expensive condos. You know, I thought, whoa, yeah.
Welcome to Seattle.
Yeah.
Which brings to mind oh, here we go.
Yeah. This is another location. We just pulled off the side of the road. This big grain train was coming through. I'm practicing taking my selfies, you know. That actually came out pretty good. I should publish that, you know.
Oh, I see the hump yard and the spurs you were talking about where the
Oh, you looking at Google Maps or?
Yeah, 20th Avenue West must have been where you were you're able to stand there right next to the engine, the locomotives.
Yeah.
And there's the hump.
So we had a good time finding this stuff, you know. It's like we're just cruising around out there looking.
Look at those delicious clouds.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this was the day that John and I from the Bay Area as well. And we got there and we parked at this place to watch this train come by, and it started raining. And this is his car right here. And he parks under an overpass. And so the car is out of the rain. And we're sitting there waiting for a train to come, and we're standing out in the rain. You know, typical Bay Area people. It's raining like crazy, and the car is protected, but we're standing out in the rain because we're enjoying it. So yeah. Anyway, I just thought that would be interesting, you guys, you know.
Good rail fanning.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to clear up some space and get rid of those multiple pictures, and something I should do more often.
Yeah, I have to do the same thing. You sit there and you take 100 pictures when you're out rail fanning a certain area, but only about 10 of them are really good.
But it's the age of digital. Come on. I mean, you know, that's what makes it so wonderful.
Well, you can generate them easily, but it's thinning them out to the ones that are really good that are the challenge for me.
Trying to decide which ones are really deserving of being deleted.
Right.
I keep finding these gems here. Are we talking a little clearance issue here? Close that tailgate, lady.
Or it's going to get closed for you.
Yeah, it was not as bad, but I mean, they were close. They were pretty close. We're
They
talking
must be.
3-4 feet. So.
They must
Tailgate
not have
permanently
as
open.
many. They must not have as many lawyers per square mile up there, because down here there would be barriers and fences and attack dogs, guard towers with machine guns and stuff to keep you anywhere from getting anywhere near the trains.
Yeah, as near as we could tell, that this is a parking lot of some kind of a venue that has big parties.
Uh,
And I thought, boy, what a way to ruin your big party, have that horn blowing everything.
wow, that
Or
is
having
amazing.
drunks wandering across the tracks.
Yeah, well, there's like this big restaurant here. It doesn't look like a real classy thing, but you know, who knows?
What's fascinating looking at the yard facility, the Interbay yard, is, in the midst of the amount of acreage they're taking up in the middle of a very expensive real estate area.
Well, I think they were there long before it was an expensive area.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Although, as I understand it, some of the railroads have actually moved the yards out of town so they could get the money out of the land that the old location now
There was a
represented.
company called Catellis once. And we could talk a long time about that.
Yeah.
The ripoff of San Francisco, Mission Bay.
Right.
Yes.
Which still, Mission Bay is still just sitting there, right? That hasn't been.
Oh no, it's
Oh,
pretty
no.
much all developed now.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's all,
I mean,
it's
that's
all
what,
six stories high now.
yeah. Yeah. It's all high rises, the Warriors Stadium, everything else in that area.
Okay, I'm thinking the stretch south
You're
of
thinking
where
Bayshore.
Candlestick.
Bayshore, south of the
Bayshore.
You're
city.
checking Bayshore. Yeah.
Bayshore. Okay, that.
Bayshore's
Oh,
still empty.
right. Is that because of toxics?
Oh,
Well, that and the fact that it's South City.
Yeah.
We get a little bit more global warming and the water rises further, Bayshore may not be actually be bay.
Yeah, there's that.
Well, actually, Bayshore will be a bay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Its elevation is like only about 3 feet.
Mm-hmm. It'll become a lagoon between the railroad tracks and the highway.
Yeah. All right. Well, Mr. Radke, thank you very much for sharing those photographs. It's very interesting to see, at least in some areas, you can still get up close to trains without having a railroad cop show up and discourage your presence.
Yeah, I guess one last one here. Let me hit the trash button because I've been checking some off. But
all right,
here is a good story. I should put some of these together. They're worth sharing. So.
I heard you. I heard you say that, Jim.
Oh yeah, I know, but I owe stories to Jim Providenza and a few other things. Hopefully, you can see these pictures here. This is Kent, Washington. I'm trying to. Let's go back a little bit. Yeah, this is Kent, Washington. Okay, and we're right next to the tracks. These trains are coming through. This is a coal train that's coming through definitely about 50 miles an hour. It's not slowing down. And I am right next to, I guess, which is where the agent would sit, the little window that sticks out a little bit.
Yeah, little bay window.
Yeah, and this thing is coming by. And, I'm sitting there and he's honking the horns, and it's not that bad till the train gets past you because the horns face backwards. And I'm sitting there anticipating this. I'm going, this is a great spot. I can take great pictures. Well, as this thing gets closer, I'm like backing up because I was on the other side of this window. And by the things ripping by, these cars are shaking. The ground is shaking. I'm now on the other side of this window trying to get a little protection. And I'm thinking, protection my ass. This thing comes off the ground, there's nothing's going to save me. So I finally get to the corner of the building, I'm just advancing to the rear as this thing's going by. I thought, just amazing place. If you're ever up there and you want a place to go watch trains, you go park here. You've got a crossing you can walk on. The trains are coming by every 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Bunch of sounder trains. It's just a fun place. I'd like to head back up there.
Jim, you've reminded me of a story related to me by Carl Frost. Carl Frost was a station agent for the Southern Pacific Railroad. Carl came from Texas, and he was a station agent in Texas on one of the main line down there. And he's sitting in the station, in the building, and fast freight is coming by. And sitting out on the platform, the concrete platform out there between the track and the station building, is one of the steel posts that held up the train orders.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so he's watching the train blow by, and the entire stand, the steel post, disappears. It disappeared because heavy steel strapping, the black band strapping that you'll strap pipe loads and stuff with, was flapping around broken off the side of the car, just going along, and apparently the strapping wrapped itself around the post and snatched it whole bodily out of the concrete.
Yeah.
And Carl said that's why you don't stand next to a train at speed. And after that, all of us who were club members with Carl didn't stand close to the train anymore after he told that story.
It's heavy.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just.
I know.
Gee.
You get it out of your face.
My dad worked for the IC for 40 plus years. And I remember we'd always pull up to the grade crossings when a train was coming, and I'd be like, all right, get closer, Dad, and he'd be like hanging back. If there was no car in front of us, he'd be like 5-6 car lengths from the crossing. And one day I was walking down along Tehachapi. You'll know how long ago this was because I was physically out on the tracks. You used to be able to drive up to Tehachapi Park and you go stand out there. And this train's going by, and I'm a good 30-40 feet away from it. I'm being very respectful, not trespassing. And it's very quiet, and this train's going by, and I hear this thunk, thunk, scrape, thunk, scrape. And I turn around and look, and here is a lumber load on one of these center beam flat cars. And it's got a piece of strapping hanging from it, and there's like a 4x4 or a 6x6 hanging from it, just knocking around, bouncing along the track, taking everything out that it comes in contact with, like a big ass bat,
Widowmaker.
That's why you don't walk next to the tracks,
Yes. Yeah, that's another good story.
I remember some of the damage claim stuff. That was.
Yeah.
Railroads had to self-insure.
Yeah. These are good stories to share with rail fans. Because
I'm out of coffee, so I have to say goodbye.
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks.
And on that note, gentlemen,
have a good
pleasure.
Goodbye.
All right. We'll see you on the 25th down in the South Bay. That's our next gathering.
Yeah, sounds like fun. Yeah,
it's going to be fun. All right. Take care. Good night. Goodbye.
Good night.
Go to bed.